Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. Good evening, guys. We are out here. Good morning, guys. We are out here at a dam, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about this immigration crisis that we are having right now. Well, if you guys have heard the latest reports, there's a caravan of migrants heading from across Central America, from Central America's southern border to our southern border at the United States. Now, it's said that 80% of these migrants are native of Honduras. And what's alarming about this is that the Mexican government can stop them, but instead you have Mexican government agencies actually aiding and helping these people transport thousands of people along all the way through Central America, Mexico, to our southern border. Now, this Mexican entity is called Grupo Beta that's helping these Honduran and Mexican immigrants on their way to the United States. What's alarming about this is Grupo Beta. What is that? That's Beta Group. Okay, so what you have to ask yourself is this a beta test? Is essentially having a marching army of immigrants on their way to our southern border a beta test? Now, what's interesting here is President Trump yesterday morning actually responded to this story here of this caravan of illegal immigrants on the way to our border. He says, Border Patrol agents are not allowed to properly do their job at the border because of ridiculous liberal Democrat laws like catch and release, which is a horrible, horrible law. It doesn't help the situation. It says, getting more dangerous. Caravans coming. So he's directly referencing the stories out there of these caravans. Now, if you guys haven't seen the reports, we are talking thousands and thousands of immigrants marching, almost like you would see at a parade or a march or a protest, marching along through Mexico on their way to our southern border, demanding immigration, demanding that they get accepted into our country. Republicans must go nuclear option to pass tough laws now. No more DACA deal. So apparently President Trump is now seeing that any negotiations over DACA with the Democrats is fruitless. Essentially, the Democrats really never planned on or cared to give a little bit when it comes to the immigration status and the immigration policies in our country. They say, oh, you're on the wrong side of history, so we're not going to compromise at all whatsoever with giving into a border wall or tighter border security within our country or more funding in that direction. They didn't want to give on that. Apparently, the Democrats want to flood the United States with illegal immigrants. Now, why do you think they're trying to flood the United States with illegal immigrants right now? Gee, I wonder. You don't think it's because the 2018 midterm elections are just about to happen in November? It couldn't be because the Democrats are worried as to whether or not they're going to be able to win those. And we all know how much Democrats love illegal immigrants to come and vote for them illegally. That's why you see them putting up so much of a fuss about this census. The census new rules regarding asking people, Americans, what their status is. Now, apparently 80% of these illegal immigrants are from Honduras. So they are technically illegally in Mexico. Mexico would have the authority to deport them to their southern border. However, Mexico is not doing anything to stop it. And that brings me to Trump's next tweet. He says, Mexico is doing very little, if nothing at all, to stop people from flowing into Mexico through their southern border and then into the U.S. They laugh at our dumb immigration laws. They must stop big drug and people flows, or I will stop their cash cow, NAFTA. Need wall. So essentially, this is such a big deal. Trump has obviously been briefed on this current situation of this caravan, that he must know some information regarding who is behind funding and aiding this caravan on its way to the United States border. So much so that he is actually threatening to revoke NAFTA with Mexico, which we know Mexico would be very unhappy about. But the reality here regarding NAFTA is that it's a much better deal for Mexico than it is for the United States. So I don't think that Trump would really hesitate to revoke NAFTA, given that he wanted to renegotiate NAFTA anyway. Now, what's alarming here, guys, and very freaky, is that some of these migrants that are marching along in this caravan, actually a large portion of them, identify with the name Migrantes en la Lucha. Now, what does that mean? It means migrants in the fight. Okay, so we have a caravan of thousands of migrants calling themselves migrants in the fight, heading to our southern border, where our Border Patrol agents are not well equipped to handle a large army of people coming to flood our southern border. And, you know, it really makes me think, wow, we need more Border Patrol agents down there. We need more volunteers down there to come and help our Border Patrol agents, because these people are going to be a standing army to come through our southern border. And the other alarming thing here, guys, is, you know, I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm like, wow, well, maybe we should have some 3%ers, some Oath Keepers, some Americans go down there to assist and aid our Border Patrol. But I can also imagine that we might have other resistance, Democrat, George Soros paid groups out there as well to try to help these people through, like Antifa or Refuse Fascism or some of these other groups. So this could wind up being a massive, massive problem with a lot of, a lot of commotion and chaos and people getting hurt. Now, according to BuzzFeed, the migrants were organized in groups of 10 to 15 people, and each of these groups had a designated leader. There were 5 groups banded together, and those would be called sectors. So what this is alluding to is that this group is organized in a military fashion. In the U.S. military, in most militaries, you have squads, which are organized in groups of 8 to 14 people that then have a sergeant. So the fact that they are organizing in a military fashion, that you have the Mexican government entities out there, one called Grupo Beta, which is aka Beta Group, is very alarming. Is this a beta test of a invading army that's going to be trying to attack and penetrate our southern United States border? It's very alarming, very horrible. Now, according to the numbers that supposedly amass this caravan, technically it would be equivalent to a military-style regiment, brigade, or legion, which could upgrade as it goes along, because it's said to be amassing more immigrants as it's making its way throughout Mexico. So we could see even larger numbers. All we know is that these people do seem to be a communist element, a communist faction of the Mexican community out there. A lot of them raising their fists in the air, doing communist chants, and it's alarming. It's essentially very alarming, and it really reminds me of why I brought you guys out here. Now, we are out here at a dam, and as you can see behind me, we're going to show you guys the water flowing out of these 2 large pipes down here. Now, let's think of the water coming out of these pipes as immigrants. Okay, and let's just say these are legal immigrants, right? And if water were to overflow here coming down, or you were to have a break or a crack in the dam, that would be illegal immigrants. But on this side, let's think of this side of the dam as Mexico. Now, if you were to have a breakage down here and too much water would flow through down this creek, which leads to another lake, you would have massive disruptions of wildlife and life as you know it, affecting homes, landowners, animals, the quality of life of a lot of people down here. It would massively affect the ecosystem if you had too much water coming out of here all at once. That's why this very strong dam wall has been built. This is a very strong dam which is meant to protect the landowners, the people living over here, the people in the United States essentially, from being flooded, from being disrupted, so that it can go on about its natural way of life that it's been going about for a very, very long time now. That's why you could probably say that the people who built this dam, the amount of water coming out of these pipes here is probably down to a calculated amount of gallons of water. They can probably calculate exactly how much water comes out. Just like in the United States, there used to be an allowed amount of immigrants into the United States each year. That's how they controlled the flow of water or immigrants into the United States, in so much that it would just naturally go on and it wouldn't disrupt the environment, the fish, the eggs of the fish, the birds, the plants, the river, the communities, landowners, homeowners. It wouldn't disrupt any of that. Now, equally, okay, and opposite amounts of damage could happen on this side, which is, we're using it as a metaphor, as Mexico. Now, as you can see, the water level is actually pretty low here in the dam right now, but if you could imagine a break or a crack in this dam here, you would have massive amounts of water flowing out, essentially draining the dam to where it would permanently disrupt the life in the dam over here. It would cause massive problems as well. So you could see that there could be problems here, and there could be problems here. So even if Mexico, or let's say Honduras, or some of these countries decided to just let all their people try to run to the United States, it would disrupt their economies, it would disrupt their way of life, it wouldn't help anyone, and essentially it would really devastate the United States. It would really devastate the landowners and the property owners and the animals if this just opened the floodgates over here. Essentially, I wanted to talk to you guys while we're looking at this dam over here, a little bit about some of the theories behind why this might be happening. Is this essentially to disrupt the voting for the 2018 election, the midterm elections? Is this to disrupt the American way of life? Is this to essentially promote the Cloward and Piven strategy, which is a political strategy outlined in 1966 by the American sociologist and political activist Richard Cloward and Francis Fox Piven. This called for the overloading of the U.S. public welfare system in order to participate a crisis that would lead to the replacement of the welfare system. So is this going to so severely impact the welfare system in the United States if these people essentially are allowed to cross into our U.S. southern border? Or is this going to be to disrupt the 2018 election and the 2020 presidential election, or essentially to grow the Democratic Party as a whole? Because we know that once these immigrants come here, the Democrats are going to swoop in. They're going to say, let us help you. We're going to give you lots of welfare money, which is American tax-paying dollars, and let us help you, try to keep you here, try to get you legal status. But apparently Trump says no more DACA deal after the Democrats have done this stunt. He's realizing that the Democrats actually were feeding him appeasing lies, while at the same time planning to bring in tons of migrants and do away with any type of negotiations and deals, and just try to essentially flood the voting in 2018. Now, it is so important that we all get out there and vote, during 2018. I cannot emphasize this more to you guys. Really, I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be doing what I can. I'll be door knocking, doing whatever I can, because really, we have our lives at stake here. The Second Amendment is already under attack. We have Democrats openly calling for and lobbying for the removal of the Second Amendment. That should scare everyone. So wait a second. They're going to remove our God-given right to protect ourselves with the Second Amendment by infringing upon the Second Amendment, trying to ban semi-automatic weapons or assault weapons. Give me a break. Most of these Democrats don't have a clue about guns. They don't even realize that semi-automatic weapons and guns are no different. It's just a handgun. A handgun's a semi-automatic weapon. Yeah, so is an AR-15, but they don't understand the difference, so they'll just ban it across the board. Why are they doing this while at the same time trying to have an invading army of immigrants come up along our southern border? This is horrible. This is to grow the Democratic Party, and if we don't get out there and try to vote and do whatever we can to stop this, I don't know, guys. It's going to be really easy for the Democrats to swoop in, try to steal the 2018 election, essentially trying to make Trump a lame duck president. At that point, we definitely won't get our border wall. We definitely will not have America first policies that we desperately need in this nation. It'll be immigrants first. It'll be what we've seen in Europe, in France, in Italy, where armies and mobs of migrants are running around the streets, attacking and raping women and hurting people, overflowing in the cities, turning Paris into an shit hole. I mean, this is disturbing. I don't even want to go to Paris anymore. I always wanted to go to Paris, and now I definitely don't want to go to Paris. It's not even a safe place to be anymore. We do not want the Democrats to turn America into shitholes. You know what I mean? We do not want that. Essentially, I'm going to just go over a couple more of these facts for you guys who are just now popping on this feed to remind you that we have a caravan of thousands and thousands of migrants heading from Mexico's southern border to the United States southern border. This is essentially like a massive protest. Now, we've seen how big protests can get. So these people are marching along in a military fashion to our United States border, and they're being aided by Mexican entities. A Mexican group called Grupo Beta, essentially a beta test group. Is that what we're seeing? A beta test on an invading army that seeks to invade the United States. Some of these people, this website called Pueblo Sin Fronteras, meaning people without borders. If you go to their website, pueblosinfronteras.org, you can see their music, their songs, the people marching, and you can even see some of them talking about La Raza. So it really begs the question, are cartels behind this as well? Because cartels are not going to be very happy, if you think about it, about us having a strong border security wall. How do you think cartels are going to feel about us stopping the flow of drugs into the country? And yeah, I'm not talking about marijuana, guys, because marijuana is mostly legal in places. It's got some amazing medical benefits. I am pro marijuana, pro medical marijuana, all it goes. But we're not talking about marijuana. We're talking about Mexican cartels trying to bring in heroin, cocaine, and other illegal substances that do have problems. I mean, the heroin epidemic in the United States is very bad. A lot of people die, lives are lost, family members are lost to heroin. So essentially, Mexican cartels are not going to want their money flow to be cut off of drugs, trafficking of drugs. They also traffic people as well. Many of the illegal immigrants and workers that come to the United States are being trafficked by coyotes. And essentially, in some way or shape, they're being forced to do slave labor for being brought over to the United States. They're heavily controlled by cartels. Are those the people that you want coming into the United States? People that are going to be brought here by cartels, that are going to be controlled by cartels? Or do you want legal immigrants coming to the United States? legal ones, not illegal ones. We've said this many times. Let's talk about America first. Let's talk about housing and helping our American veterans before we talk about bringing in and housing and aiding illegal immigrants. We've got tons of homeless veterans right now in Los Angeles. We've seen the tent cities in LA and in California overflowing, Americans homeless, out of work, needing help. Should we really be allowing thousands and thousands of illegal immigrants to come through our southern border and then help them with money and social welfare and aid? I mean, are they coming here because they heard about the massive spending bill that got passed with all of this welfare and free money that's going to get handed out to them? Either way, it's a scary situation. We will keep you updated as we get more details on this. I might go down to the California southern border myself just to go check it out and give you guys some on the ground reporting there. I would say our oath keepers, our 3%ers, be alert, be in communication, because we might have a large invading army of immigrants organized in a military fashion attacking and rushing our southern border. Stay tuned for more updates. Go to Infowars.com. Please support us, our store, InfowarsStore.com. Also, I am wearing an Infowars beanie right now. We sell those. We sell tons of awesome gear. Support us. We are getting the truth out. We're doing everything we can to provide you with honest, real, guerrilla-style journalism. This is Millie Weaver signing off for Infowars.com.